Hey guys, how you doing? I'm making a video today about labeling pathological mental disorders such as narcissism and so forth. And there's been a lot of videos on the web about narcissism and psychopathy and so forth. And it's become a big trend. So the way I look at this is, in my frank opinion, I think this is quite outrageous what has been going on, because we've been living so far in a victimhood-based society where people wallow in self-pity and blame other people for their own misfortune rather than taking things in their own hands and learning to take full responsibility for their own life and their own happiness. And I believe that there are some very good videos out there to help people to deal with different type of pathological mental disorders, or people who are afflicted with certain pathological disorders such as pathological narcissism and so forth. So for example, if we take an example of pathological narcissism, oftentimes we hear about narcissism, and how horrible it is. The truth is that there is healthy narcissism and there's pathological narcissism. And yet, during last little while, we've been hearing nothing about people making narcissism pathologic, whilst it's actually not. There are people who are pathologically healthy. Narcissistic. There are people who are narcissistic, but have a healthy form of narcissism. And there are people who are narcissistic and have an unhealthy form of narcissism. And instead of making a very clear distinction, there's a lot of generalization about this. And this basically puts anybody into a demonized category the moment that you may have one or two traits. And I think this is absolutely wrong, because people are just simply pathologizing everyone around them who they may assume or presume fits certain category. It is quite possible that some people may have several different pathological narcissistic traits, but it's not necessarily that they're not necessarily narcissistic, pathological individuals. So I have a bigger issue with this, because I think there's a lot of wrong in generalizing about people and about anything, and it just does a lot of injustice and creates a lot of division amongst people, rather empowering people with self-responsibility for their own lives and taking power in their own hands and regaining their own voice. There's been all this talk about, blaming other people for one's own unhappiness, and simply just creating a lot of anger and bitterness and resentment toward those who have hurt us, or who have hurt other people. So for example, when I look at my own life, I could say, yes, I was wounded and hurt by a lot of people in my life, some of which I believe I could say they were pathologically narcissistic or, covert narcissistic. But the bottom line is, if I live with this kind of mindset, look what they've done to me, look how they hurt me, and I continue being bitter and angry and resentful, which is completely normal to feel that. However, if I don't make the next step forward to let go of this pattern of being on my side, I simply become nothing else but bitterness and anger and resentment, and this just lowers my own frequency, and it makes me it actually makes me likely to become self-righteous about how great I was compared to somebody else. This may be unconscious, but oftentimes people who tend to blame others for their misfortune, they tend to judge a lot. And I did that too. I judged the people that hurt me, and I labeled them as horrible, and I had a lot of anger and resentment and hatred. But it didn't do anything good for me other than just lower my own vibration and just made me bitter and just did not serve me in a healthy way. It gave me some sense of righteousness, and and it made me feel like, yes, if I keep up with these feelings, I will somehow be protected from the people who hurt me. But oftentimes it just doesn't do anything good. It just hurts oneself, as it did me for quite a while, until I had to realize, look, this is just all these feelings of anger and resentment and bitterness toward those who hurt me. They're just hurting myself. And I had to realize that I had to drop the role of a victim. I had to realize that I have to forgive for my own sake, not even for someone else. And I had to realize that as long as I hold on to the role of a victim, the cycle perpetuates, even if things are already over. So this is really critical, because there's just really no way to be healthy psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually, and even physically, if we are continuing to replay the situations from the past without learning from them. And one of the things that I found that helped me the most was that I personally made a decision to realize that everything that happened, whatever happened, was a massive gift. It was all just a massive gift. And because whatever we are today, whatever growth occurred to us in life today, has actually happened because of a lot of these hardships. And a lot of these hardships came as actual gift to push us, to force us to grow, to work on ourselves, to transform. And yes, I get it. There are some people who are choosing not to grow, who are choosing not to do their own diligence to transform and to heal themselves. And some people just don't know what to do, and I get that. However, and some people don't want to do anything. They just want to remain, victimizing themselves and basically blaming someone else for their own misfortune. And I understand they were very likely hurt quite badly, and they just don't know how to get out of that. That's just my way of looking at it. But in truth, everything that's happening to us and has happened to us is a massive gift, which is sometimes, I believe in life, the suffering and all that we are experiencing is just a catalyst for our own growth and transformation and evolution, whether we like it or not. Because as long as we, you take example of pain and suffering, right? As long as we continue holding on to certain beliefs and certain ideas and certain patterns or emotions or states of mind or things that are hurting us, we're going to continue to suffer. And until we realize that, yes, it's time to let go of the things that are causing us to suffer, we're going to continue suffering. And this is very serious, because there's billions of people on this planet who have been wounded, and they are still holding back to old patterns, and they're still suffering. And this is just, it's eating them away. It's causing them a lot of health issues. It's a lot of unhappiness, and it doesn't help them to raise their energy levels and their frequency, and to rise up and to come back to their own, what I would call, original state of what we are supposed to be here for. Because we are meant to be vessels and channels of love and this divine energy that created us. And as long as we continue holding on to pain and resentment, anger, bitterness, judgments of others or ourselves, and hatred, this just blocks us from being that what we are meant to be here. So I would suggest that it's really a healthy thing to look at, to start to acknowledge that everything in life is a gift, both the good things and the things that were not so good, including suffering and pain. If we truly want to learn, doesn't mean we need suffering and pain at all times, but sometimes suffering and pain may be the only ways we are gonna wake up. Because let's face it, some people are really freaking stubborn. I think we all can agree. And some people just don't want to wake up, and they need, and they think they already know everything, and they think they're correct, and they think they're right. And unfortunately, sometimes life brings certain circumstances, certain people, as a way to wake us up. Because everybody in this world, we're all teachers and we're all students at the same time. That's how I see it. We all have something to learn here, and we all have things to unlearn as well. And we have to be humble enough, in my opinion, to recognize that we could be wrong. We could be making mistakes, and there's nothing wrong about that. It's actually completely normal and human in many ways to make mistakes. And all we need to do on some level is say, hey, you know what? I admit that I made a mistake, and somebody else made mistakes too. And and in order for us to free ourselves, and I mean free ourselves, to become truly free from all this pain and suffering that holds us down, we have to look back, look at ourselves, at all the things, all these patterns, all these different emotional states that are inside of us. The patterns of judgment and blame and guilt and shame and fear and hate and all that stuff, and anger, jealousy, discrimination, and so forth, and or even generalizing about other people and judging other people and so forth, including ourselves. As I said, as long as we have these things in the way, and we haven't shifted to the place of love and acceptance, wisdom, courage, and gratitude, joy, we are really not doing anyone any good that way, because we are keeping ourselves at the low vibration like that. And by holding on to certain feelings of anger, resentment, and so forth, we are not only victimizing ourselves and turning someone else into a culprit, keeping them indefinitely responsible for our own pain and our unhappiness or our happiness, whilst the truth is we are the ones in full control, and we have the full responsibility, 100% responsibility for our own states of being, our own happiness, our peace, and so forth. And I know it's easier said than done on some level, but it's absolutely possible. And I'm here to tell you this because I've gone through my own journey in my life where I hurt as well, where I've been hurt by different people, including my own family and so forth. But I'm not a victim. And on some level, I look at myself and look at all these people that came into my life, and I'm grateful for them because they really pushed me. They pushed me to the maximum, to my breaking point. And they caused me to re-examine myself and go deeper for my own highest good and for the highest good of all of humanity. Because our own state of being, who we are here in this world, is critical for the rest of humanity as well. So, as you grow and as you dedicate yourself to your own personal transformation and healing and to your own journey of transformation, you are benefiting everybody else in this world as a result of that. Because the more of us wake up and the more of us become healthy and healed, the more we can be an example for other people. And we all know that energy is quite contagious, right? If you walk into a room full of happy people, you're likely to become happy as well. And vice versa. If you walk into a room with miserable people, you're going to become miserable as well, unless you're able to hold your light pretty strong. So what I would suggest, how about we all drop all these labels of other people and judging others and take a closer look at ourselves. It's very important that we shift to our unconditional infinite love within ourselves, as well as infinite wisdom and courage, so that we can act from a place of both love and wisdom and discernment, and take proper action in our life from a place of wisdom, love, and courage and discernment, which is part of wisdom. That way, what I'm saying is, if people hurt you, you can learn about certain types of people, like narcissists and so forth, and you can learn about certain patterns, and it's completely okay. But drop this judgmental attitude of judging other people and being scared of them. We have to be fully responsible for ourselves. And when you're dealing with other human beings, you need to be wise as well. Not necessarily afraid of other human beings, of what they are capable of doing, but you have to be wise enough to discern the red flags, and if someone else may not be good for you, and you have to listen to your intuition and to the vibe that you're picking up from these people, and acknowledge that. If you see that something is not right, and if you see a pattern with people that you're meeting that's not healthy, just let it go. You don't have to be trying. You don't have to try to forge something with people who have certain unhealthy patterns that you know are not going to work for you or with you, we could say. Anyways, give me a thumbs up if you like this. Share, engage in comments. I appreciate that. Helps my channel, and I do appreciate you and your feedback. Thank you.